Hi guys, Miss Angela here. Today we're going to do our homeschool science and our topic today is space. So let's talk about it. So let's start with where we live in space. We live on the planet Earth. Okay? The Earth is a planet which is a body in space that orbits the sun and takes up a great amount of space. It takes the Earth 365 days to orbit around the sun. And what does it mean to orbit? Okay, when we say orbit, it means the path that objects take in space as it goes around a star, a planet, or a moon. Okay, so when we say orbit, that's what it means. All right, and it takes 365 days for the Earth to go around the sun, which equals to what? 1 year. Okay, and then the Earth also rotates on this invisible axis that it has, and it does that once every 24 hours. Okay, so it takes 1 day for the Earth to turn on its axis, and the rotation causes us to have day and night depending on what side of the Earth is facing the sun. Does that make sense? Okay, so what we have are 8 planets. Okay, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Okay, so those are the 8 planets. There was another body that orbits around the sun that they thought was a planet. It was given the title of planet for many years, Pluto, but then it was downgraded in 2006 because they saw that Pluto was not big enough to be considered a planet like the others because it is smaller. Okay, so it didn't meet the criteria, so now they call it a dwarf planet. All right, so the center here of our solar system is the sun. Okay, it seems quite large to us. If you see, this is not to scale, but you can see that it is shown much bigger than the Earth and bigger than Jupiter, Saturn, the other planets that are pretty big. But the sun is actually not a planet. It is a star. Okay, and it's considered to be a medium-sized star. All right, so that means there are suns and stars much larger out there than our sun. The light it produces is from burning gases that make up the sun, just like other stars and suns out there. Okay, we benefit from the light and the heat it produces because Earth is relatively close to the sun compared to the other planets. Okay, it's the third in line there. Okay, so just some basic facts about space. The first human touched the moon in 1969, and that was Neil Armstrong. His footprints are there forever because remember we talked about when we talked about the moon, there's no wind or weather there to move the soil. So it'll be there unless it gets struck by something that flies around in space and causes a dust up. So they will remain there. So our sun is over 300,000 times bigger than the Earth. Okay, so that's how much bigger the sun is compared to Earth. All right, and they believe that our solar system, okay, where we live, was formed over 4.6 billion years ago. Okay, and you'll see here that Saturn has obvious rings, but some of the other planets in the solar system do have rings too, like Jupiter has some, okay, Uranus and Neptune. And their rings aren't just as big and obvious. Now the Saturn there, its rings are pretty evident. These ones over here, the last 3 there, are not as obvious. Okay? So for many years, scientists thought that the Earth, okay, was the only planet in the solar system with liquid water. But NASA has found evidence that Mars might have some too. Okay? The red planet. All right, so the gas planets in our solar system are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, which means they're almost completely gas. It's just big balls of gas. So if you see here, this is clouds, like clouds of gas that Jupiter is. Okay, so you could not step on these planets. You couldn't walk on them because they're not solid. Okay, all right, so the Earth is hit by an asteroid around the size of a car around once a year, but it burns up in the atmosphere before it lands. Okay, so we do have things that fly at us, but our atmosphere burns them off. All right, scientists believe that there are more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand in all the Earth's beaches. That's amazing. All right, there isn't any atmosphere in space, which means it doesn't have a medium for sound to travel in, so its space is completely silent. Okay. The closest planet to the sun is Mercury, but it's actually Venus. Okay, so Mercury's closer, but Venus is actually the hottest planet in the solar system. Okay. And it is thought there are between 200 to 400 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Okay. And then there's a belief that there are billions of galaxies in the universe. All right. So, pretty big deal. So scientists have a theory that the moon was once part of the Earth when it was a young planet. It's thought that one time there was a collision with a giant object that broke a piece of the Earth away, and the material orbited the Earth due to the gravitational pull, and we'll talk about gravitational pull in just a minute, and it eventually became the moon. Okay? So our solar system here, all right, is made up of the sun, planet, dwarf planets, moons, and other objects zooming around the space, just like asteroids and comets, like I had mentioned about asteroids coming into our orbit there. All right, so except for the Earth, the planets are named for Greek and Roman gods. Okay? So far, our space explorations to other planets, moons, and asteroids have shown that Mars has the biggest volcano in the solar system. All right, so that's a fun tidbit. And then, if our sun was the size of an average front door, so look at your front door. If our sun was the size of an average front door, the Earth would be the size of a nickel. So, just to kind of get a little bit of scale, that's pretty big difference, a door and a nickel. Okay. So lightning storms on Jupiter and Saturn turn methane into carbon soot that falls and hardens into chunks of graphite and then diamonds. So it rains diamonds on Saturn and Jupiter, and scientists think the largest of these are about 1 centimeter in diameter. Wouldn't it be fun if just every so often it rained diamonds here? We'd all have to stay indoors, but diamonds would be pretty cool to have just coming down from the sky. Not all the time, just every so often. All right, so the center of our universe is the sun, and the planets orbit around it. So we did say that the orbit means a path the object takes in space as it goes around a star, planet, or moon. Okay. Now, why do planets revolve or orbit around the sun? Why does that happen? Okay, and that is because of gravity, the force by which a planet or other bodies draw an object into its center. Okay. So it pulls it in. Earth's gravity keeps you from flying into space. Okay, so Earth has gravity too. But the more mass something is, the more gravity it's going to have. Okay? So that's why it makes sense that we are pulled to the sun, and not Jupiter. Jupiter is bigger than us, but the sun has more mass, so we are attracted to it by gravity. Okay? So let's just do a real quick here. I tried to get this in a way where you could see it better, but it was when I tipped it to show the screen, it just wouldn't work. So this is the way we're going to do this. So to kind of show you how orbiting around the sun works, is that on my plate here, I have a little dot, yellow, to show the sun. All right, and this big guy here, so obviously we're not using the scale. So this is just to kind of show the sun. This is the Earth, okay, and it orbits. See how it orbits there? Goes around. And it goes in a pattern. And I drew those crudely there. They're not great, but it just goes around in a circular orbit. Okay? And you can try this at home if you want to. Like I said, it's hard for me to actually shoot down while I have the camera this way, but if you take a cake tin, okay, and a ball, and maybe put a little Play-Doh in the middle to resemble the sun, if you roll it around that way, okay, you can also see how I'm doing this here. Okay, and this is just a quick visual to show you how gravity, how it works. It's pulled in and it moves. Okay. So if you have a cluster of stars together, it's called a constellation. All right, and they form a pattern when we look at them from Earth here. So what I thought we would do is one of the things that I mentioned is that to have marshmallows and to have some pretzel sticks, okay? Because what I'm going to show you here, I made, okay, So some of the real obvious ones, I'm going to glue these down so you could see what I did here. So I used the marshmallows and the sticks to make the little dipper. Okay, see that? That's how we put them together. So that's a little dipper. Okay, and then let's see, here is the big dipper. Okay, so I put them together. I glued these guys, but if you just really push them together, they should stick with the marshmallows. Okay, but what I thought we would do together is the Southern Cross. Okay, so I have here. Okay, so to show that, I need marshmallows. Here's a marshmallow with my pretzel stick here. Okay. All right, one there. And then I need, so our stars, we show 4 stars there. Okay. Go here to here. Here to here. This one is a little tougher because there's not that star in the middle to kind of put you together with the ones in the middle, so I have to be real careful how I show this to you. Okay. So it's just kind of, yeah, it's not going to stay. But you get the idea of how you can do these. Okay. So just build them. Okay. Just put them together, and it shows you, like I said, I drew that one there. You can find the different constellations if you just Google it. It'll show pictures for you to do. So I thought that would be a fun activity for you to do at home. Okay. All right, that's how I made them. Okay, so starting next week on Wednesdays, we're going to start doing STEM challenges where I will give you a supply list and you will have to figure out a problem that I give you to solve in terms of like building something. And we're also going to continue to do some science, but it'll be more doing experiments. So STEM activity with some science, we'll start those next Wednesday. So I hope you enjoyed this series of our history and science, and like I said, we'll move on to STEM. So take care.